everyone, welcome to another episode of Inspire and Inquire. Of course, I'm Regina and I so happy to see you and so happy to have you on this journey with me. I want to remind you to make sure that you have a writing utensil or your journals out, because it's really a good idea to jot down things as they come to you. Now today we're actually going to be looking at a story instead of a specific verse. This story really put some serious insight into my life, and the story is about David, Uriah and Bathsheba. And the story goes that David is blessed. He's a king, he has money, he has land, he has lots of wives, and he sees a woman that he just instantly is taken aback by. This is Bathsheba, right? Who is Uriah's wife. And even though he has his wives and his blessings and everything at home, he just had to have her. And he actually commits adultery with Bathsheba and impregnates her. So he tries to send Uriah back home to, be with his wife, so that if there's a child, he can cover up, what he had done. And Uriah is a good man, right? Uriah's not going back home to his wife right now, because they're in the middle of a battle, right? In the middle of a war, and he wants to fight with his men. So David actually sets this man up, puts him on the front line, and of course Uriah dies. When Uriah dies, David has Bathsheba come to his kingdom, and they have this child, right? That happened. So a messenger comes to him, right? And a messenger gives him a parable of this man who was just arrogant and selfish. And he asks David, what do you think a man like this deserves? Of course, David was like, what? Man for dead. Kind of wicked man that, And the messenger reveals that the person that he was describing was him. Now, David didn't see at the time what he was doing until it was presented to him in another way. And the truth is, sometimes I'm guilty of the same things that I'm failing to forgive others of. We always feel like when it's us, we can explain why we did what we did. We understand, the decisions that we made, and we can make excuses for them. But then when other people do us wrong, we're so quick to get upset. And we can't believe they would do this, and we can't believe they would do that. I need to check myself, right? Am I guilty of the same things that I am upset that others are doing to me? Check yourself. A lot of the times, the biggest things that upset you are things that you are guilty of. So check yourself. That's the first thing that stood out to me. Also, the child that he had with the person he took, I know it's a mix-up story. Bible story mix-up, But the child died. And while the child was sick and suffering, David was very faithful. He humbled himself. He fasted. He, did his worship and his prayers. And then when the child died, he told his servants, bring my meal. And the servants were, confused. They couldn't understand how he could be in mourning one day, or so sad one day, and then ready to eat the next. When the child had died, they thought he would feel worse. And David told him, listen, this is the will and the way of God. I have to accept it. So while the child was alive, I did everything I could do in my power. I exercised my faith. But now that the child is gone, it is out of my control, and there is nothing else that I can do. So I have to accept the will and the way of God. So he ate. And that's another thing that I think that I can learn from David, is acceptance of God's will and God's way. That's real faith. It's just a pleasure to have you with me. I looking forward. See you next week on Inspire and Inquire.